Hey, everybody, here's a clip from our next guest. Enjoy.
I write songs with very minimum cuss words. All my shows are all ages. That's who I am. I'm not anything else besides the guy who wants to have, you know, everything kosher and normal. I don't want to stand for one thing or another. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to be able to have a moment where we as humans can just, whew, and that's where I try to do that with music. And so Long Cut, our entire vibe is, yeah, it's country rap. That's the genre that it's in. But I really feel like Long Cut is making a move. You know, we switched lanes and we dropped it down a gear. This summer, our songs are competing with Billboard charts, and that's the direction that we want to go. Is to level up and evolve the genre. And I think it's Long Cut's responsibility. We have the talent, and being authentic, being genuine, and being 100% with each other is something I've always been afraid of, I guess. And now and my wife and I were just talking about how successful our relationship is because we are completely honest with each other.
Yeah.
And dude, you know how long it took me? Such a simple task that took me so long to completely understand. I wasn't even honest with myself, even in the Marine Corps. I'd had no idea how to be real with myself. Probably I didn't know who I was.
So,
You
do
know?
you think because of the upbringing, and you talked about your parents and
Yeah.
having that issue and having that, bullying and that traumatic thing might have caused you
I
to
don't know,
kind of like
man.
close the doors a little bit? Because in a sense, I was the same way. I mean, my mom. For me, I had a traumatic. It wasn't bullying, but my mom's a meth addict. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? She's still into drugs and stuff like that. So like, my older brother got into some drugs, got into trouble and things like that. So for me, I started going down that path too. And at some point, I was like, God willing, I broke away from it. You know what I mean? But to me, I think I was always trying to prove something. The first Scoggins to graduate high school, first
Hmm.
Scoggins to go to college. You know what I mean? So that was the whole thing. And those that don't know, my last name's not Scoggins; it's Pritchett. But I
Hmm.
took my mom's maiden name. All my other siblings are Pritchett.
Hmm.
They're all doctors and lawyers and successful. But my mom's side, I wanted to change that side, right? So like everything was always a competition to like fight to be good enough at anything. And I still have that with my wife's got her master's degree in education. I still feel like I'm not worthy because, I'm a few credits short from my degree, in business and stuff. So I'm like, I'm always thinking that's my self worth. I'm always thinking my self worth is it's not good enough. But those things, I'm wondering if that's the same case where, growing up, you were trying to put on a show, right, or something
Well, I
a
think
little
that
harder. But
it was just a unique environment because it was so new of a lifestyle, and everybody had their opinion, and
and they
I
didn't
didn't
know
I
any
didn't know
better.
how to I
Yeah,
didn't know how to have enough courage to stand as an individual yet. I
right.
was, and maybe that's what made me successful with the Marine Corps is that I could blend in. Maybe it was a group effort. Me standing by myself wasn't something that came, but later in my career and now in my life. But back then, I look back and it's just like I didn't, man. As much as I was like the all-star basketball player, baseball player, me as a person, I just didn't want the attention because the attention came with my mom as well, and I didn't know how to have the courage to stand with my mom, and
Gotcha.
you know what I'm saying. And so like the Marine Corps was an escape from that, and then I got to really see my mom demonstrate that strength and courage because
Mm,
as I ran, my mom stood taller and she became more successful in her career and had more exposure within the city and the state as teacher of the year, coach of the year, and my other mom Pam was getting promoted, and this didn't this did nothing but allow them freedom from the restrictions that society may put on you, saying you're going to live this way, live that way.
right.
They were genuine and authentic with themselves, and it released this like third eye type of mentality. You know what I'm saying? Where you can just see through the bullshit that restricts you to be successful, and that's took me a little longer than it took her, but it took her leadership providing that and saying, "Hey, it's okay to get out of the Marine Corps," because I was scared after almost 10 years, dude. I didn't know what direction to go, and she's the one
Hmm.
that told me, "Go for it." I want
Yeah.
to be a rock star, and everybody said this: "You don't quit your day job." My mom was the one that said, "Go stand on that platform by yourself and get criticized and go through it all." And like looking at what she has accomplished and the lifestyle that she brought um, to the public eye back in the late 90s and early 2000s,
Especially with the criticisms. Yeah. Being
man.
gay. Yep.
Yeah, dude,
That strength.
that's
Shout out to the righteous moms. I
yeah,
mean,
dude, she held it down, bro. And so like she's my Rocky, man.
hell yeah.
She'll take on the Russian any day. And so now like when I'm thinking about, my career and things that I need to do, sometimes I get maybe depressed, but then I get right out of it, dog, because like no, it ain't nobody else gonna fight for me. And these conspiracies about, you know, I have this and I have that because of whatever uniform I wore. You don't know me. You have no idea who I am. I'm
I had
almost
no idea about any of this until you shared it with me.
I
Like,
mean,
you know what I mean? I knew you 10 years ago. So,
yeah, man, and like it 10 years ago I wasn't the same human being that I am today. Like if I was a Marine today, like I would definitely done things smarter, not harder, because I really relied on my physical, but I wasn't smart.
yeah, you're
And now
poster
like
boy in the Marine Corps,
yeah,
man. I remember
dude.
seeing, I was
Right,
like,
man. And now, like, I have the patience to learn, have
hell
the
yeah.
patience to read, have the patience to listen and absorb. And I also have the discipline to turn around and have self reflecting moments for me to really look in the mirror, listen to my mom and my wife, you know what I'm saying? Listen to my friends. Um, and I think that is what gives you the opportunity to grow, is like really taking that criticism to heart and not thinking that you're the shit all the time, because sometimes like even though people are like y'all are so awesome, it's like yeah, I that's amazing and I'm gonna absorb that, but like I want to be able to do better for many reasons outside of like a compliment. You know what I'm saying? Like I appreciate the compliment and I drive for the fans, and I need them folks to show up every night and support. But like for me, I would be letting them fans down if that was good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And so I'm learning the music
You'd
business.
be letting yourself down.
For sure, man.
You know
Like
what I
I'm
mean? Because there ain't no limit, right? So,
there in this industry. There's really not, especially with social media. I mean, you guys could go live of 24 hours a day right here on your podcast
yeah, forever.
forever.
And
And
people will fall in love with you more and more. The more
dude,
they'll figure out, as long
it'd be
as
like
you're
the Truman
genuine,
Show.
bro. Like you said, it's like, yeah, yeah. Walking around naked, that'll probably
Yeah,
get a lot of
man.
them, man. But
And it's just been a really cool journey, and having the platform to talk about it, that's also like my counseling, my therapy, is to be able to sit here with you and reminisce and look back on some things, because this isn't something I just do every day. I don't sit here
yeah,
and just think about, right? No, man, life goes on, and before you know it, it's Thursday again. But to be able to take a moment, right, and broadcast this and be like, hey, let's talk about what we've been up to for the past 10 years. That right there is like a medicine in its
that's
own.
fucking. It's cool because what's weird to me too, and it's like, especially with all the social media, when people start to try to accomplish a goal or anything, and the people that know that person or their family members that love them, it's a weird situation when you see that. So when I first seen you and Facebook and we're doing what you're doing, I was like, damn, look at this motherfucker. I was like, he was my
Yeah.
like wouldn't be
Yeah.
imagine if we would have went to the same RSS.
Right.
We would have been road
Well,
dogs.
they
We would have
they
been
didn't want to do
fucking
that.
crushing that
They
shit.
needed dual. They needed you here, me there.
Yeah, 100%, right?
Yeah.
Because those were the ones. But what's awesome is to see what you're doing and to see now being able to talk to you a little bit more about like because I knew you back when we were across the street on the bowling alley playing fucking
Right.
Madden. I knew you when you like you said playing basketball when I was on one team and you're on the other, and
Yep.
I had fucking Favinger and some other people that never played a fucking game of basketball in their life. Right?
Savage.
I knew the JT back then, right?
Right.
That was the all American boy, Marine, and talk
Yep.
about a poster boy. My wife says the same thing, probably because of my jaw. but we were that thing, right? And so we were
Yeah,
chasing
more.
it. And it's cool for you to see the wisdom of now having the lifestyle you have, and even have more of the wisdom in the spotlight is inspiring to me to say, hey, I can take this balance. I know where I'm at. And it's almost like that balance almost compounds your success. It makes you
Yeah.
even better. And I think that's what people are missing. And that's part of what, what we want to grow a little bit on this podcast. You don't have to be the 300 PFTer. You don't
Mhm.
have to be the all-star all the time. You need to think about what things are going to make you better as a person and just be happy. Be
Yeah.
happy with whatever truth is, whatever it is. And it's awesome to see that you're finding your truth in this music and then you're bringing it to your fans. Because for me to say, damn, JT's doing music, that little hater in me is like, this motherfucker is like successful, fucking, you know what I mean? But it fires you
Yeah.
up, right? But at the same time, I'm like listening, and I'm like, damn, I kind of like his shit. Like, and then I'm
Well,
like, listen, I'm like, wow, man, like, not only is the music good, but like your guys' music videos, and you have a bunch of them. I'm like, all
yeah.
right, I see Bump, I see Outcast
Yeah.
Number, right? You know what I mean? I'm like watching all these. I'm like, holy shit! Like now I'm a fan, and I hope
Thanks, man.
for the limited amount of people, because this is new. Hopefully this sets fire too, right? And you get a lot more people that are watching you. And I want to see one of your live shows, at least get a VIP ticket and be like, people
So
probably won't believe me. I'll
what
be like,
you're
I
in
know that
California.
motherfucker right there.
We'll be out in California.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Hell
be
yeah.
coming out to California in the fall. And so I'll be sure to find a venue close, send you tickets because I would love for you to see us live.
Well, I'll have you guys over at the house.
That'd be
You
great.
said I got the keys the other day. I got a pit boss out there. I'll fucking grill up some shit.
That'd be
Told you I
badass, dude.
got the fire tables going. We'll fucking make you a
Well,
spoon pipe real quick.
living on the road, I'm always looking for a couch.
Bro, I got
Always.
you.
Yeah.
You already know. I already know.
Cool. What
Ain't
city
no
you
couch.
in?
Right now I'm in Carlsbad,
Okay, I know where you're at. So
but I'll
we
be in
play San
Oceanside.
Diego. We play yeah, we'll get something close for you for sure. And just to touch on, you know, I had a guy ask me the other day, he hit me up on Facebook and he's like, I'm an artist and I want to pursue, the path that you've done. And it made me stop. This is probably a couple weeks ago. It made me stop and I was right here on the porch and I just was thinking about when I first got on a bar stool and the first time I played with a band and we weren't in tempo, we weren't in key, our instruments weren't even tuned. And some of these people laughed at us and we didn't get invited back. And that's the truth, man. And what we were talking about before we kind of went live here was showing up and being consistent with your physical like accountability. That's a huge part of things. A lot of guys talk about the gym or whatever it is. Man, if you show up, man, like it's all downhill from there. And with music, I just kept showing up to these shows. And there were some people that probably laughed, dog, because it was pretty cringy in moments. But I knew that was part of it. And I think it fell back on when we were in boot camp and we didn't know something and we got punished in a way that was so humiliating that
Yeah, yeah.
the world could not ever equivalate to how bad
It's worse
the
in
Marine.
prison for those of you who
It's
don't know.
terrible, man. It's absolutely terrible. And like my whole career was like that. Even when I was a staff sergeant, you're still getting just, I mean, constant criticism. And so coming into the music industry and having people have an opinion or on social media, I never let that like draw me back. I always looked at it as that's just part of it. And so starting a new podcast, like you were saying, I don't have a lot of followers yet, but dude, staying consistent and doing it for other reasons besides followers or something,
Hmm.
that's when like I saw my music, bro. Because the second I stopped looking at the stats and the numbers, the second I stopped trying to put on the perfect whatever, was the
Yeah.
second everything started organically happening because I was being organic myself, dude. And so I
I think
appreciate
this is
you
a
having me
turning
on here.
moment. Just having you, man, is like it's a turning moment for what you're saying right there. Because for me, I'm like, how do I structure this? You know what I mean? My mind is thinking a thousand
Right.
things, and I'm sounding like a fucking car salesman. Like, hey, welcome to the Righteous Dad podcast. Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Right.
Well, what
me
I'm
and Andrew were
hearing
talking
is
about.
like I'm comparing relating what he's saying to like jujitsu. Like, I mean, I'm still a white belt, you're a purple belt, and I mean, but the thing that they tell us when you first start jujitsu is, stop trying to win, stop looking at
Mhm.
results, just show up. And the more you
Yeah,
show up, you keep showing up. Like, don't worry about how good you're doing. Just keep showing up. You'll get good. You
Yeah.
know. So, but I mean, yeah, man, that was some bombs that you just dropped.
and
I
there's no
appreciate
time
that.
frame to it too. For me, I've been doing jujitsu for 14 years.
Hmm.
I'm a two-stripe purple belt. I got buddies that are black belts and higher. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean I'm not good because you know, Andrew, you see me rolling, you see me roll with the higher belts too. But that doesn't mean because I'm okay, I'm good. It's my own journey. It doesn't mean I'm a black belt
Hmm.
because I still need to learn certain lessons that JT's talking about learning those lessons of like you're there. It's not about that. And when you let that belt go of getting the belt, that's
Yeah.
when you start doing jujitsu.
Hmm.
That's
Well,
when it actually makes sense because now you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, right?
and I don't mean to throw a curveball randomly, but it just hit me. You asked me earlier about like my religious stance, and that's something that I've been personally exploring because it just seems like a lot of people in my life lately have been asking me about like my religious beliefs and stance. And so, like, sitting here, and when you asked me that, it's kind of been on the back of my mind. And I've been studying Neil deGrasse Tyson,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been studying a lot about astrophysics in a very layman way, if you would say, like watching videos, but those videos trip me out. And what those videos are doing, no different than a story from the Bible, it's giving me a moment to like find a true breath and a true moment of existence and put fear over my existence to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that I'm capitalizing on this moment, you know? And that's when I make those decisions to get up off the couch and go lay down
Mm.
in bed with my wife, turn off the TV and go on the walk. Those little tiny changes in order for me to like get out of the habitual state of isolation, you know? And I think that's another medicine that I've added to my arsenal of just lifestyle changes, is like forcing that moment to be something that I retain forever, because this is the only chance that I'll ever have with this moment ever
Yeah,
again.
Ryan Holiday talks about it in Stoicism, memento mori. Where they talk the old like remember your mortality
Yeah,
every
bro,
day,
and
memento
I
mori.
can't speak for you, but if you're anything like me, you wake up feeling immortal, and there's no connection to that reality until it overcomes you at 3 a.m. and it brings that tingle over your nose where it's like, oh my God, holy, I'm gonna die. And
It's
that
good. It's healthy to think
it is
about that too.
healthy because it really checks it up, and I'm not,
You got to
and
cheers.
that's what's great about it. Cheers, man. That's what's great about it, is that I'm not, it doesn't make me flinch because of the Marine Corps, because of being a starving artist and an entrepreneur, and it's just another moment of making me feel like I ain't shit, and that's a good thing, because the second I start thinking that I'm like important, that's the second that like everything's
You
halt.
lose touch, right? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, and it's weird how that happens, man. It's just strange. The universe, God, whatever you want to put it on, it is
Mm-hmm.
watching and is
Yep.
listening and is feeling the vibe that you're putting out.
100%. When I
100%.
talked
Yeah.
about on the last
1000%.
episode,
Yeah.
listening to those inner voices and those things that are calling to you and certain things, it's like little flashlights. Like you're going down a dark tunnel and there's little flashlights, and you'll get those feelings every once in a while too. But I think it's important to understand the journey. Ryan Holiday
Yeah.
has that book, Obstacles Away. And if you're not enjoying the journey and having fun with it, like having fun with doing jujitsu, you're missing out on the whole thing.
Hmm.
You're always thinking about chasing all these things, but then you no longer have the time with your kids, right? And that's all you're chasing them for, right? Dalai Lama talks about all the stuff about pursuing riches and all that, and then you're dead and you can't do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
ain't
think
that
I
the
think it's
truth?
awesome to see that. And I'm sure if you're out on your porch and stuff looking at the stars with
Hmm.
Neil deGrasse Tyson and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff, but I would challenge you to read, like some C.S. Lewis literature, Mere
I don't know
Christianity.
who that is.
I'll send all that shit to you,
I
man.
bet
You
you
give me the
will.
address. I'll buy the books on Amazon. I'll send that shit
Well,
to
to
you.
relate to
Gift wrap.
Andrew and his jujitsu, it would have to be something I'd remind myself of. Go do
He's got it right
jujitsu.
there, bro.
That's dope, bro.
I put it on his
But
heart, man.
how
Because
hard is it, Andrew, to go do jujitsu? That's a
you're
hard
saying it
statement.
right
To
with the
go
dip in your
do
mouth.
yeah, to go do jujitsu,
She sells
you
seashells
know,
by the seashore.
without thinking about like the number one priority is to win,
Mm,
right?
So yeah, so I mean that's something that everybody has to overcome. I mean, just being a guy, having that competitive edge. Um, I think a lot of people walk in the door going like, I'm gonna figure this out like nobody else has figured it out, and I'm gonna win,
Right.
somehow. But no, it humbles you. That's the thing about jujitsu is it humbles you. There's if you're cocky, then the mat there's it I can't remember the word, but it levels you out really quick because there's just so many different techniques and
Right.
avenues that you can go. And you think you could figure it out, but then you realize that everything is wrong.
Yep.
And and
And
you
that's why
you
I said that, dude, because like I had to be able to find myself being happy for others and not constantly worried about winning,
being number one,
being
100%.
number
I
one,
see the tie-in. Yeah. For me
Yeah,
being a
and that's
purple
where
belt and teaching Andrew as a white belt,
right.
I got to let him do jujitsu.
You got it. Yeah. And so like I gotta not allow, they're still gonna do it with or without my consent, but
Yeah.
I gotta be able to be happy for somebody to be successful and understand that there's enough feast at this table for
Mm,
everybody to have enough, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah, and I enjoy seeing other people win. I don't know why, but I've always, well, I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but that's just a natural quality about me that I've always liked helping people in not getting anything in return. And I don't ever try to get anything in return. I never like ask for anything in return, and I don't get upset when I don't get anything in return. It's just something that's a quality about myself that I've always enjoyed. So like going to jujitsu and I see somebody struggling with something that I've struggled with, I'll say, hey man, you're really strong, but you're gassing yourself out. You
mhm,
need to just relax. And I don't sit there and try to instruct people because what do I know? I'm a white belt, but yeah,
right,
I mean, but if somebody's trying to choke me out and I like literally I was just sitting there like this and this guy was giving me everything he had and he started shaking because he was using every muscle in his body and he was trying to tear
right.
me in half. And I was like, look, bro, you and he's sitting there like and he's sweating and I was
that's
like,
why we
look,
don't
man,
roll with white belts. That's why the
That
yeah,
black
would be
belts don't
me,
like to
dude.
roll
I
with the
would
white
gas
belts.
out after like 12 seconds.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
if I
you
can't
would.
get
You're
you in,
married to a
yeah,
fighter,
dude.
bro.
If I
You know,
can't get
you
you
know.
in, if I got one move. I go for a guillotine. If I can't get you in the guillotine, it's over, bro. That's it. It's over. If you like, no, if you break my guillotine, it's done.
Just pull guard.
Yeah, man. So my
What
wife is a
yeah,
pro fighter. She fought
what belt
for,
level is she in jiu-jitsu? Is she
man. She
or is she more boxing?
she like a gold belt.
She's a gold belt
Oh, she got
with
chrome.
with sprinkles.
Yeah, she got glitter on her belt.
Oh yeah.
Man, I don't know what belt she is. She badass belt. She never really been into gi, and
Yeah.
so like she always would wear her normal like
The
what they
spats,
call this, yeah, like the kind of like a,
the rash
Rash guard.
guards.
yeah, rash guard.
I love JT. He's
Yeah,
like,
you know what I'm
I
saying?
have
Whatever,
no
What I'm
idea.
wearing
whatever
right
that
now.
is.
She just goes
I
in
have
there
no
and
idea.
fights.
I have no idea, dude. So I met Darla in 2013, right when I got out of the Marine Corps. I was singing the national anthem for one of her fights down in Denver,
Oh fuck
and
yeah.
she, yeah, dude, she was there. I saw her, and I just kept in touch with her, and it worked out where her and I finally got to meet each other again, and now we're married with a 2-year-old. They're just walking through the house right now.
So it's like
And
you were like a card guy that went up there with the card. You had your shirt off
yeah,
and
yeah,
shit,
that's
and
what I
she
did. I was
seen
a
you and
ring. I
she
was a
was
ring. I was
fighting.
a ring. I was a ring boy. Yeah, I'd walk out there with my
Hell
dad
yeah.
bod,
It's so cool though. That's like
do the
such a
belly
different.
roll.
That's such a
I don't I
different
don't
story,
I don't
man.
have a dad bod. I have a father figure.
Yeah, I got a father figure. Bro, I've been dad bodding it pretty hardcore, and I've been telling Darla for like the past 3 weeks. I was like, I need to get to the gym, and so like I went on a walk today, but that was only to go find Darla's wallet, and so I counted that as exercise.
Well, what sounds
Yeah.
awesome, just being able to talk to her a little bit earlier is like her being a fighter. She understands the support system it takes to be in a
100%.
position that puts you out there like that, where you have to have complete honesty, because you are. I
Yeah,
mean, if you're any kind of live performing, fighting, dude, you're putting it out on the line, really.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Even doing this, you know what I mean?
Mhm,
You're putting yourself out there for criticism. You know what
mhm.
I mean? You're putting yourself out there for like, oh damn, I sound stupid.
Yeah.
Whatever. I've
Well,
been the
everybody got
biggest
something
thing
to
that
say.
I learned, JT, that helped me in recruiting was getting my ass kicked by Marcus Edwards.
Yeah.
Because that same week I got my ass kicked by him, I lost the meritorious stature on board. And I was like hurting. That
Mhm,
week I was like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And my wife was like, I'm sorry, babe. And I was like, I guess I just have to work harder. You know what I mean? And
mhm.
she's like, I can't believe you said that. And that was a turning point where I went from cockiness to confidence. You know what I mean? Where it was like, it's not about me winning everything. And it hurts.
And that's hard, man, especially coming from the Marine Corps or athletics, and then especially getting into a genre, a career path where you're an artist and you're constantly being criticized. So that means that
Mhm.
you constantly want great critic,
Yep.
and it doesn't come with that. And so for me, I had to really understand that like that's gonna come regardless if I write the perfect song or the worst song. I got to be able to do this for the right reasons, and the right reasons behind it making me happy is that I genuinely love the attention of people enjoying what I'm creating. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that a lot of people mistaken that as being, oh, you're cocky because you enjoy the attention. Well, I enjoy the attention for many other reasons that I didn't know when I was in my 20s, and why I was thriving for these awards. I feel like it's my responsibility to just be successful
Mm.
in whatever I'm doing. And so if I'm going to pursue music, I want to be good at it. And so yes,
Yep.
I do practice in the mirror. You're damn right. I do. I am a weirdo. I'm an artist. You're damn right.
Mhm.
And in order for me to be exactly who I need to be, I have to be honest with myself. And that took forever for me to go, it's okay if I'm weird. I'm not going to blame it on PTSD, though. I'm
Yep.
not. I do stay up late at night, but I stay up late at night creating things and drawing weird things and thinking of things. I don't want to limit that,
Was
but I
that
don't want.
purple dinosaur background? Was
Yeah, man. But I do. Yeah, you saw that, didn't you?
that?
But I don't want to be influenced in a way
Yeah.
that restricts who I just am without even thinking by something or somebody that I don't even know.
Right.
Bro, that did it. When that finally clicked, I was like, I felt like a free man. And the Marine Corps music, it's the most athletics, it's the most criticizing environment you can be in. And the second that you can look at the criticism for the value that it holds, which is zero,
Mm.
dog, you're immortal. You're unstoppable. You won't be scared to start your podcast. You won't sit there for 30 minutes making sure it's perfect. You'll be like, fuck it, let's go live.
Yep.
Let's
That's kind of what
roll.
happened today. It's like,
Yeah, let's just roll
fuck it.
into it.
You know what I mean? I
And
love
that's
it.
when the
I'm a
best.
true fan now, man. Just talking to you even more,
Oh,
because
man.
you got to remember, bro. I remember you as the JT Adams that I knew 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
still loved you then,
Yep.
right? Because of those things that I seen in each other, but we both had to kind of grow. I got my ass beat. I had to take some punches in order to grow to be that better person and understand it's not about winning. You know what I mean? But I could have quit. I could have stopped fighting forever. I got my ass kicked in front of all my family, all the pulleys and shit with a man wearing fucking pink pants.
Oh man, that's
And my
rough.
fucking police dad was like, "You got your ass whooped with a
That's
man
rough.
wearing pink pants." I was like,
Dude,
and
that's
I was
now that's a
butthurt, man.
rough critic. To hear that one, that has to,
Coming from a good old boy in West,
yeah, man.
the West Slopes of Colorado, I'm like, damn. But also thinking about all the contracts I'm writing, all the things I'm doing in the Marine Corps, and I don't get meritoriously promoted.
Yeah,
I
that's rough.
felt like I was justified, but it wasn't about that. And our Sergeant Major McDonald, he said to me, he goes, I heard all this good shit about you, Scoggins. He looks at me, he's like, I haven't seen shit yet. He goes, you think you want to be a fucking staff sergeant? He's like, you've been winning. I don't need a staff sergeant that wins. I need a staff sergeant that's fucking gritty. When shit's
Mhm.
not going right, what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn.
So I picked up staff right before he showed up,
Oh, I know. I
and
was
that
jealous. I was
yeah,
jealous of that
and
shit. I was like,
that guy right there, that guy, he straight up told me I'm not deserving of my rocker. He hated me
he
because,
hated everybody. But
dude,
he went to my last fight though, and he had his son. His son's a sniper. Were you there when he got his Bronze Star of Valor and shit for fucking
I don't
all the shit
remember.
he did? That dude is a fucking crazy war hero. But
Whoever that guy is, fuck you. I never liked you. You were a hater from the get go. Dude, I'm not joking you. He was a hater. He saw my numbers and he saw my office. He didn't like it. He didn't like anything about me. He went after me pretty rough, bro. And so, yeah,
he
dude,
came to my last fight,
you
and
could choke on a popcorn kernel, bro. I give a shit. Yeah.
his son was there. His son's a sniper and shit. He came to my last fight, and he calls me up afterwards. He's like, "Yeah, you're a tough motherfucker." You know what I mean? That was like the best he ever said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was that stoic dude. He was fucking special forces, crazy guy. But it was interesting. But that whole experience for me, kind of recapping what I was trying to say, is like it's cool to see the growth that you have
Oh,
as a
yeah.
person. You know what I mean? Especially a complete 180. And you're so much more of a complete person, which makes me so much more of a fan. Like I was listening to your stuff. I was like, I know him. I'm going to listen to this stuff. But now I'm like, now I want to follow. Now I'm like, I fucking love
That's
this
cool.
guy because I'm
Well, that's
understanding
great,
exactly
dude.
who you are in the heart. And I think
Mhm.
that's what fans they want to hear and they want to see.
And
And
providing the platform, dude, is amazing. Like the time that you're giving me to be able to just speak freely is, I mean, it's an amazing blessing. Which rare, think about it. How many times within a week do you get an opportunity like this?
to be able to fucking reconnect with
Yeah,
just
dude.
a star in that galaxy, what you're
Mhm.
talking about, and Neil
Yeah.
Tyson fucking Degrassi of like, here
Mhm.
goes JT. Let me grab him real quick.
It's
Let me
cool to
pull him
be
down
able to
here and
talk
throw him on
about
the
things
screen.
and relate and take a moment to give yourself credit at the same time, see the growth. And but that's what's really cool is it's almost like a phase line, that we establish in a combat scenario. These phase lines
Mm-hmm.
are there for us to consolidate,
Yeah,
for us
lines
to
of
get
departure. Mm-hmm.
accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to know what's our next move going to be. And so that's kind of what this is for me, is for me to take in everything I'm saying and then not make adjustments, but to like continue that, because that's hard enough. There's so many influences with pornography,
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm.
drugs, alcohol, you know, just Call of Duty
I was
on your
tempted.
fucking mobile now. All these things, yeah, dude, all these things are in my life that just suck my soul away.
Yeah.
And as I get older, I start realizing that these are like way more dangerous than anything else, because I'm not a guy that's going to go off and do meth. But
Right.
what is the meth? Is the meth Call of Duty on my phone?
Right.
Because like I'm
What's the
on it.
difference? Right.
What's the
Yeah.
difference?
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
dopamine hit.
dude, it is, man. It's even more dangerous. So because it's sucking away time, and that's something that as I get older, I'm starting to realize I ain't got too much more of,
No.
and it makes me really find the discipline to take a deep breath. And as simple as that sounds, to just breathe is sometimes the hardest thing to genuinely do.
So we talked a little bit about isolation, and for those that are a part of MVP, one of the Salty Sailor Talk discussion was isolation and having healthy isolation.
Yeah.
healthy or bad. For isolation, how do you see? How do you use isolation? Do you see it as a good thing? Do you see it as a bad thing? Is there?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for you being in the spotlight all the time, I'd imagine
Mm-hmm.
you got to just get away. And how do you do that?
You know, I want to be authentic. And every time I'm asked a question, and that's sometimes challenging even still today. And so when I first hear that, I automatically want to put a guard up and give you the perfect answer. Um, but I'm not going to do that. I think isolation to me is a mixture between both, depending on where my mentality is. Because sometimes I want to isolate myself and meditate to some nice vibrations on YouTube and really have like a hot bath and go get a massage. And I believe all that's good for my mind and my heart, even though I'm doing it by myself. And sometimes my isolation is torture that I put myself through, and I don't know why. I don't know why I just don't go to bed. I don't know
Mm,
why I just I just won't eat. Um, and I don't have the answer. It's just that I know with time now that I have the capabilities of doing that, and so I have to be able to call myself out on that. And like I was saying earlier in the podcast, like just get up and go to bed, because every time I do just get up and go to bed, I'm thankful for that. But there's this weird argument that I have with myself, almost like you don't deserve a bed.
mm,
Um, and it's weird. It's almost like it's my burden. These late nights are my burden. These are all mine, and I become this self-absorbed, just guilt trip individual that wants is searching for attention. And that's when, like, I have to call myself out and just say, "That's bitch." You know what I'm saying? And fight through that. Even though some folks that I've met use that as like an excuse, and I get it, man. I feel it, but at the same time, like, you're doing it to yourself. And so when I said get out of your own way, that's what I mean, because there's nobody else causing that moment besides you. And the only reason why you're causing that moment, in my mind, is for attention.
So
And
we
even
talked about. Go ahead. Keep
I would
going
say,
because.
even though you're in the darkness by yourself, for some reason acting that way, look, it just is a form of like release. And that's what I recently have found myself, you know isolating myself for the wrong reasons, because maybe I wasn't, and I still ain't ready to perform at the expectation that I'm setting for myself.
Mm,
You know what I'm
hmm.
saying? So it's like this weird, I got to be great again. I have to
Right.
win again. And it's just a battle where I just turn away and just won't answer my phones. And my wife has come down to the basement and been like, "It's been 3 days and you haven't eaten, showered, you just been down here." And it took those moments to be called out, and then the conversate. That's what's great about having a solid spouse. And we're talking about honesty, was to really talk about like what we're doing right now. This is my first time ever like speaking on something like this, and it that is the medicine. It's
Hmm.
not the alcohol or the pills they prescribe you or whatever it is that people try to go through to help. It's genuinely being honest with the true situation and
Hmm.
calling yourself out on the honest side, even if it's embarrassing. Because I had to do it with myself. Like, I'm a fucking weirdo, bro. And I had to be able to call myself out on that. If anything, what I'm saying making sense. I don't know.
100%. So I was going to say too, I think you talked about that responsibility, but you being not being able to shut those things off and always trying to chase things. You talked about recruiting and chasing, in the Marine Corps, always chasing that carrot or chasing that attainment or approval, right? And it's not even approval of others anymore, but it's that self approval is telling yourself you're worthy, telling yourself you're doing enough. And
Yeah.
it can be destructive when you're isolating in order to prepare. And you said earlier, our minds are going 1,000 miles a minute. And
Hmm.
I'm the same way. And there's times, and it gets even worse at night because that's when those alpha states come in. That's when the creativity comes in. That's when you start thinking. So you're not a weirdo for being late at night and, you know what I mean, drawing and doing all that shit. Cause that's good. But I think the cross that you bear is that responsibility of providing good entertainment, providing your essence as JT and what you want, right? And always to prepare. And that's the anxiety of it, man. Like if you're going to, I mean, I've only been to
Especially being new. This
combat
is
in the
new.
hands, right?
This is new. Like
Yeah,
I haven't been doing this for 10 years at this level.
right.
So like to
Yep.
see the success, to see the growth, you want that
Now,
to
what if,
continue.
you know, yep.
What if? What if it just stops?
What if they find out I'm full of shit?
Right? What if, and like I had that
Yep.
fear years ago when I first started doing music. I'd get on stage and I had a cowboy hat and a full band, and I was like portraying to be this George Strait, which
Is
I
this the
love
right
George
way?
Strait.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's just, but that was just a piece of me. It wasn't
Hmm.
all of me.
It's what you like. Me, Joe Rogan. Love Joe
Right.
Rogan.
And so
Love Tom Bellew and
you might
Impact Theory.
subconsciously try to
So now
mirror,
I'm like trying to be these
right.
guys that are not me.
And you'll figure out with
You know what I'm
time
saying? Yeah.
and trial
100%.
and guys like my mentors, Demon Jones. Demon Jones, he's a veteran in the music industry, and the things that he have said to me have been humiliating, but so honest when it comes to why are you wearing all that jewelry? Why do why are you wearing this? That ain't who you are. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Because
because
he knows you because he got to know who you
he
were.
was getting
Yeah.
to know me, and like
Yeah.
and he was just molding me to not be anything more than just who I am. And that was the hardest thing, was just to be who I am. And as much as somebody can get on a stage and preach that over and over again, it is one of the most hardest things to accomplish, is genuinely and authentically understanding that your existence has no meaning at all. And once you
Mean nothing.
understand
Yep.
that
You don't matter.
you don't matter,
So in
it
a
takes
biblical
away
verse,
so much
yep.
pressure. Yeah,
So
in
I'll
a
share with
biblical
you
way, for
the
sure.
biblical way. Ecclesiastes talks about meaningless, meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. The pursuit of power, money, wealth, knowledge, all of it's meaningless because we can't pass it. We're dust.
It doesn't
We
matter.
started as dust, we will become dust. You know what I
Isn't
mean?
that amazing
It's
though? It
meaningless.
it takes off so much burden and weight and pressure that we, so when I say had to get out of my own way,
Hmm.
I'm
Yep.
the one putting these obstacles in my way. I'm the one that's sitting out there pounding beers and then coming in here and crying to a George Strait song. That's me. I'm doing all this stuff. Yeah, dog.
But it's hard to
Once
be hypercritical to like
Well, I think
you
once you
want
realize that
success,
you're
right? And
dust,
you want well to be hypercritical to be successful in a pursuit of something to be successful where that's where you're judged. That's where your grade is, right? You're being graded by the fans, the views, whatever, and it's hard for that, but it
at
takes a
that
special
level of
type of
perspective,
person to get away from that, right?
you have to be able to, like what you were saying with the dust. I love that concept because it's all about that perspective. If I'm looking through my life through my eyes and I'm looking at my numbers and my this and this, that, and the other, I start thinking that I'm important in some weird
Hmm.
fashion. But
Hmm.
if I can like take a step back and put some headphones on and dive into the fact of like the concept of the size of earth compared to like these other planets, bro.
Puts a
So
perspective. Yeah.
bro, once you get that size perspective, you're like, whoa, I ain't shit. And if I ain't shit, it doesn't matter. So that means I can
Humility is
do
super
whatever.
important. Yep. Humility and being grounded is super important. And I'd
It,
imagine it's
man, that I wish I would have learned that
mhm.
back in my early adult life, because there's things that I know that I hesitated on, that who knows where it would have taken me, you
And
know.
how old are you right now? 38,
I'm
39?
I'm, I'm 37.
Okay. So I'm a little
Yeah,
older than you. 30,
I
be
just
39 in July.
I
I
just
think
turned
it's something that
37.
happens when we get a little bit older though, man. Like
It has to.
our brains don't develop in a certain way or something, but thinking back about those life lessons and you start to realize, and that's what's weird is like in the beginning, And this is what's so beautiful about this moment is talking to you. Definitely is like you're on that path with music and self exploration, and I'm doing the same thing. We were both started like go getters, hard chargers, studs, Marines, and I'm trying to do the same thing in a weird way intellectually with reading the books, with not trying to use my physical prowess like you were talking about.
Right.
It ain't about that shit
No.
anymore. Now it's about who am I? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And you talked about legacy earlier, right? It's not about the fans and all those things, but and I love this what Andrew said the other day is what's that dash mark?
Mhm.
You know, you put in on your gravestone. What does that dash mark mean?
Mhm.
Because if you don't leave that, and if you don't leave that for your kids, and you don't leave that down the road, none of this, it's all meaningless.
Mhm. Well,
Ecclesiastes, it's meaningless, right?
that's where I think that when I even say, it's what is the meaning? It has no meaning. It like that can be taken in many different ways, and I don't even mean it to be taken in one way or another. I don't believe it could be interpreted in many different ways. But the way that I interpret it, that like even that legacy can cause pressure to make a decision because there's
A
times
wrong
when,
decision that's not genuine.
well, or maybe
Yeah,
I look at the fact that I go, man, I don't want to spend $1,500, you know, and next thing you know, I'm spending the money to go create this legacy when all reality was is that if I would have just exercised patience and just let the universe work in the way that it works, that's when I start finding my legacy being built without
hmm,
even me trying,
yeah.
and that's what's really cool is that I
It's
talked to my
jujitsu.
mom.
It's all the
It is
same.
jujitsu, bro.
It's
It's
all the fucking
freaking
same.
jujitsu, dog.
It's all the
You know what I
same.
mean? It is.
It is. It's crazy. It's so fucking cool, man.
It is cool, and it's cool to be able to come into that and recognize that. And I think it comes from outstanding leadership, outstanding peers like yourself, parents. It's a tribe. And when you get to that state where you can look back and go, "Oh, I get it," then you start looking at why do I get it, and then you start feeling thankful for what you got in life, and you start really finding the value. Like when my wife and my kid just walked by and my baby looked at me
Hell
right
yeah.
between my speaker and my monitor, and I saw her eye, like that
She's like
moment.
telling you you're doing it,
Yeah,
Dad.
man,
Yep.
it's a cool moment to like
Hell
be
yeah.
there incorporating every aspect now finally, and not having to feel like I'm ashamed for what I'm doing, decisions that I'm making, or I'm away from my family. I incorporate my family. I embrace my family. I embrace my music, and this is who I am. I'm not a guy who wants to go out and have extravagant hotel parties and all this stuff. But if my wife's with me, dog, like let's do it. You know what I mean? It's just I'm gonna be faithful and loyal to
Hell yeah.
the values that genuinely I want. And sometimes when you decide to be a musician, a lot of people think, oh, you can't be married. Well, yeah, you can. And having leadership like Demon Jones, you should also look him up. He's been happily married for several years and has been a touring musician for several years. And
What's his
he's the
first name?
one, Demon Jones, Demun Jones.
Demon. Okay.
Yeah, and this guy is like my mentor. He's the one that showed me you can be a father, you can be a husband, and you can be a badass rock star at the same time.
Right.
You
And
know,
that's what this podcast is really all about. That's like our mission statement is like we want to find fucking dads that are
MVPs,
fucking
baby.
badass, bro. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Righteous Dad podcast, all about finding those guys that are fucking the dads that are doing good things. You know what I mean? And you don't even have to be a dad. You can be a mom. You could be, I have no kids, right? But you just want to be a good person. And these are the things that we're trying to bring. So like it's fucking badass. So
Well, I
Demon
Yeah, I mean,
appreciate
Jones.
it.
So how did you meet? Go ahead.
everything I'm
Go ahead,
hearing,
Andrew. I want to
everything
talk to
I'm
you.
hearing
Yeah.
JT say is crazy hearing his perspective. But everything you're saying, it's literally it relates to so many different facets of life, and you're speaking. It's like you're speaking our thoughts and our words, but from a country music singer, country music
100%.
rapper, right?
Hmm.
And so it just, I mean, what Brian just said, I mean, I couldn't have said it better. I mean, that's exactly why we started this podcast because, our thoughts. I mean, I don't have an original thought ever. I really don't. But we had, you know, Brian had the guts to say, "Hey, let's start a podcast because our ideas are common and there's other people like us, and we need to seek those guys out." And there's a lot of interesting dads out there that are going through life. I mean, your story is just like perfect for this podcast because you're
Fuck
a
yeah.
dad.
I'm like
You're
motivated and shit. You
Oh
just
God,
fired my
I mean,
ass up, bro.
like guys like you are
Getting out of
why
my
we
own way.
started this podcast.
Yep.
You're literally
100%.
the premise behind it was it's like you're a
Hmm.
dad that's getting after it and you're winning and you're a family man and you're doing you're harnessing your craft. So I'm loving everything about what you're saying, man. You've been dropping bombs this whole time. That's why I've been sitting here quiet because I know when to shut the f up and just
Well, dude,
listen, man.
it feels good being able to express like these thoughts and these philosophies because, like I said earlier, it's not every day you get a platform to be able to sit here with two other gentlemen that have families and have goals and just be able to talk. And that, like, it's a medicine, man. It is. And I'm not saying the whole veteran connection thing needs to be on an extravagant type of number. You don't need to have 10 friends, man. You and I haven't talked in 10 years, and you
Oh, I'm
have,
gonna be hitting you up all the time now,
bro,
bro.
but
You're gonna be
you've
like, leave me the
influenced me
fuck
so
alone.
much. You've influenced me so much in just a short amount of time and made me happy
Hell
and made
yeah.
me feel things that are like enjoyable to feel. And
I'm gonna make you read books and shit. I'm
I
gonna be
need I
sending them to
need to
you like
read
a
more
fucking
books. I do. I haven't really read a book in a long time besides the 10X.
yeah.
Remember that?
Grant Cardone.
I read a
Hmm.
Grant Cardone book.
Hell yeah.
But to be honest with you, I didn't read it. I bought it on Audible.
On Audible. Yeah.
Dude,
And
there's nothing
That's
wrong
me.
with that, bro. Like
I listened to it
Yeah.
on tour.
there's some
And
really good ones, man. Richest Man in Babylon. You're getting that money, you gotta watch or listen to Richest Man in Babylon by Napoleon Hill. It's
Yeah.
fucking
I think all
amazing. And
that's
it
Yeah.
talks
awesome,
I,
about
man.
how
I,
to
I,
what you
I
mean.
tell people I read books. I just listen to Audible
I
90%
still,
of
I
the
still,
time.
I
I
just
still
steal the
watch.
covers. I steal the covers in the back from Barnes and Noble and walk out.
Yeah, Brian
I
gave
still,
me this book. I didn't. It's a paperweight. No, I was joking. I'm just
dude.
kidding.
I get motivated off moments of, like for example, it would talk MMA, and Joe Rogan definitely talked about this with Mike Tyson, and I related so much because I felt that, and so I'm definitely not trying to rip or steal because I felt that when I watched Rose win her title.
Hmm.
It's those moments of triumph that
It was
I'm
amazing.
attached to so
Hmm.
much, and that will get me so emotional. And for the longest time, I didn't recognize that emotion. I interpreted it as a threat. When I saw someone get promoted or get an
Hmm.
award or a baseball bat or get a whole bunch of streams or whatever it was, win the lottery, whatever it was that happened in their life, it was a moment of like a break for them that they worked for, and I didn't even recognize it. I was very selfish.
Hmm.
And dude, I had to get that corrected. I had to. And working in a band and working with a guy like my partner Brian Thomas, that right there is its blessing in its own because I feel like he has made me grow so far past where I thought that I could have gone when it comes to really being a humble, like, I'm proud of you with the utmost genuine feeling, like not bullshitting you. That right there, understanding there's enough feast, there's enough food, it changed the game for me because I wake up with a heart that loves seeing people do great things. And that vibe that I would put
Hmm.
out, it comes right back around. It really genuinely does. The guy that's waking up every day on Facebook being just a weirdo and hating, I know. I was that guy.
But to get that feedback from your friend, to hear that from another man, to get a compliment, you
Yeah.
know, or to have another man say, "Hey, I really enjoy spending time with you, man. You're doing great." And
It's a
I
good
feel,
feeling.
somebody giving you lifting you up when they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
That that changes. you receive that, and then it's like it's a plant that grows,
Yep.
and then you want to start being that guy. When you're around that enough, you start wanting to be that guy and start planting those seeds of being positive.
Mhm.
I mean, that was definitely Brian for me. I mean, Brian would give me compliments, and I was like not used to other grown men that giving me compliments. I'm from the corporate world, where it's dog eat dog.
Right.
People cut each other down. They will cut your throat for a promotion.
Oh, I bet. And
I'm
so on
sure that.
recruiting duty, him and I think that's probably why we're sitting here on this podcast today. We for I never saw Scoggins as a threat, and I think it was because he was a further district away from me, an RS away from me, and we had kind of different missions and stuff. But I knew that he was a hot hand out there, and he was one of my competitors, kind of like Velasquez and some other guys. But the vibe of competition was so healthy, and I wish I would have recognized that and taken that in from and applied it later on, because
Mhm.
talking now I can look back and go, man, like the competition we had was really great, and I was happy for people, but at the same time it pushed me to where did I lose that? Somewhere along the line between us sitting there in our dress blues and getting hockey sticks to like just last 3 years, somewhere in between there, I lost that sense of like camaraderie. And maybe it was getting out of the Marine Corps and trying to find my sense of belonging again. And that's a real thing. I think that with, like you were saying, being in our late 30s, it just happened.
Mhm.
I don't know. It wasn't anything that I read. It wasn't anything that I had, no hypnosis. Nothing happened. I just was finally proud for other people. And it took the proper leadership to demonstrate that.
It
You don't
goes
have to
back
be a
to I'm
hater.
going to keep jujitsu, and we race through the belts and we race the belt system, and then we do the same thing in life where you have these generations, and each generation is almost like a belt. 10 years old, white belt, blue belt. You start learning the life of jujitsu, or jujitsu as life. And when you're getting promoted and you're meeting these milestones, it is very difficult when you're struggling and you're working hard and you're putting in the long nights and you have the anxiety nights where you're planning and you're doing everything you can to watch somebody else get promoted. You know
I
what I mean?
bet,
Because
bro.
you're feeling and you're betting on that. That's me, right?
Yeah,
I
dude.
deserve that. But you don't know what that other person is doing. You have
Yeah.
no idea, right? And what the problem with that whole mindset is you're missing out in the human experience of
Yep.
seeing somebody else hit a milestone that's so important, is so beautiful, right? And that's what it is. You're missing the human aspect of somebody getting what they deserve from their hard work. And when you work hard, and if you don't work hard, you don't understand it because you're
Mhm.
not working hard enough,
Mhm.
right?
You know.
You know, and that's why
Mhm.
that, oh, I deserve that or whatever. You're not even working hard enough.
Right.
When you do what JT said, and you're not worrying about that attainment, and you're just fucking going after it,
Mhm.
and you're truly committed, that's when it's funny where the universe knows you're not looking.
Mhm.
The universe knows, okay, now it is your time,
Yeah,
right? It's
dude.
like some Jedi shit
It is,
where
man.
it's like, and then you see it, and it's super hard because I've been there in multiple things and I love it. I've been humbled many times, and humility is the best gift that I've ever received,
Mhm.
right?
Me too.
Because it's saying, okay, you're humble enough, we're going to break you down for you to grow into this next level, bro.
Mhm.
Like, and that's that level. But you still need a support structure, JT. You still need people to say, hey, man, you're fucking up on this side,
Yep.
not just to ride your dick and be like, you're the shit all the time, because those are not the friends you need. You need the friends, you need the mentors. And if you don't have somebody that you really look up to that's willing to tell you the truth,
Yeah, dude.
you need to check your friends, bro. Like,
Well, dude, I was just sitting here thinking, like, who humbles me the most? And it's my daughter. Because, like, I swear, dude, I'll be like, get out of the bathtub right now. And she'll look at me like, no. Like, she gives two dams who I
the
think I
biggest
am. You
shits,
know what I
the
mean?
biggest
Like,
shits. Come
yeah,
wipe my
man.
ass. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, dude. I mean, she's humbled me so much. And she just brought out a side of me that I never thought would. I never thought I'd get to experience. You know, like um, you hear like your mom, right? Your dad, whoever, they tell you when I saw you born, it was love at first sight or whatever. Like I never thought I would ever have that moment with just about anything in life, man. I felt like I was like like I didn't have emotions. Like I was almost just
Numb.
numb,
I
no
was too.
empathy.
It was
Yeah,
really
dude.
weird. It
It
was
is
weird.
weird. And
It's
it's
crazy how the
cool.
love grows.
It
Yeah.
dude, and it's crazy how it
Yep.
just
It
right in your
just hits
face.
you. Yep.
It hit me,
That's my
bro.
Yeah.
biggest fear. You know what I mean? Anything that has to do with my kids.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not scared of shit. I'm sure you're the same way being a Marine. Like, there ain't nothing, there ain't no fear. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not scared of death. But once you have a kid, now it's like,
Yeah, dude.
I'm a little bitch. In
Yeah,
all
I
my
am.
deployments, 5 deployments, I'm like, that ain't mean shit because
Mhm.
I never had a kid. Now I don't want to deploy.
Right.
Now you know what I mean? Now I'm like, no.
I know
You got too much to live for now.
they're talking about sending us on the road, starting in mid June and being gone for the rest of the year. So June being gone and then coming back for a little bit of July. But after like mid July, I'm on the road for the rest of the year. And I hear that and I'm excited for sure. I want to play shows, but there is definitely a side of me that's like, hold on, I'm going to
Now,
be
how old is your
away.
daughter?
She's 2. She's two
Oh,
years
yeah.
old. I've
Those are
been,
the age where it's
and she
hard.
was a COVID baby, bro. Like
Hmm.
I went to barber school during COVID. I used my GI Bill and went to barber school at the Paul Mitchell Hair School in Colorado
Yeah, I
Springs,
seen one of your
Colorado.
videos too. You're like the barber in the
Yeah,
chair cutting that
man.
shit off. I was like, hell
And
yeah.
I like it, dude. I've always wanted to be a barber. I was a barber um, on one of my deployments in the Marine Corps on ship,
Because you can
and
talk.
I just liked it, man. I
Get the
liked the
get together.
vibe. And so I went to
Yep.
school and I was home every day. I was changing diapers. I was shaking bottles. I was there side by side with my wife. And it became, you know, what I did. I was a daddy. And then all of a sudden you get the call and it's like, hey, boom, we got the Redneck Rave coming up, or we got a tour with the Moonshine Bandits, or Demon Jones needs you for 7 runs. And he's like, you'll be gone for a month and a half. Like that's a big dramatic change that I'm excited about. And if I didn't have the support system of my wife to like, push me to get past, the bitch in me, dude, you know what I'm saying?
She's the
Like
perfect. She's the perfect one. That's
she's
what I
my
said
yin
earlier,
dog
man.
to my
I'm
yang
telling
dog.
you,
It works
being a fighter,
perfectly.
it's the perfect one because she's been in the corner.
She
She's been in the
knows.
corner for so many
She
people.
has been in the corner, man. And she
Yep.
knows the sacrifice it takes emotionally, physically, um, and sometimes definitely spiritually, you know what I'm saying? With the
Hmm.
trials and tribulations of trying to be accepted by people who are listening to your music or watching you fight or judging your podcast. And so it's cool to be able to now live here in Montana, out here in the country. My wife and I have a beautiful little home, a simple little life, and it's us planning and working together to have our personal life squared away together in order for us to pursue dreams that we want to
That's awesome.
pursue. It's nothing that's its own platform. It's all one pedestal, operating as a team, dude. And that's where I'm like thankful. And it's probably because she's a jujitsu god.
She's a gold belt.
Dude, she's good.
She's the gold belt with the
Bro,
fucking
like I'll
glitter,
sneak
bro.
up on her. I'll sneak up on her.
It doesn't matter. That shit
Doesn't
don't matter.
matter,
If you don't
dog.
get
It
her with the
don't matter,
guillotine,
bro.
bro, just
Yeah, if I don't get the guillotine, dog, it's over.
you're like, oh fuck. I guess I'm cooking and doing dishes tonight.
Dude,
She's
yeah,
over
man,
there
it's
like
pretty cool
punching you in the
watching her,
chest.
man. Well, she trained with Pariah, and then she trained with Victory. Um, Gilbert Smith, which was a UFC fighter, was one of her
You know
trainers
more
for a
about that
while.
than jujitsu and how to say the word. Like you know
Dude,
her.
yeah, man. Well, that's the thing. I'm a huge fan of the sport.
Yeah.
I've always, I mean, even when we were in country and on recruiting duty, and I never stopped. And since then, I've been a big fan of the UFC. I've bought the packages. I followed the fighters, and so when I met Darla, what she did was attracted. Like I was attracted to that. I thought that was like the ultimate goddess was this woman, and with the mohawk too. She had a badass mohawk. It was great. So those traits though don't go away
It takes a special person to get in the cage.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
dude.
right now.
And I see that special person
Mhm.
every day. Every day, this woman is up, moving with me, either snuggling with me. She just knows what the concept of support is. And
Yeah.
I can't ever put it in words how thankful and grateful I am.
Well, the cool thing about it, and I'm it's a cliche. I keep going jujitsu or the way of the word. But when you master one thing, and Andrew would tell he'll probably name out who says this. When you master one thing, you see it in everything, and that's why all this stuff kind of goes back and forth with it, right? So
Mhm.
the mastering one thing, you understand it and you appreciate it. So her putting herself out there and going through those trials and tribulations, she's at a higher level when it comes to the human, right?
Bro, yeah.
Every person that does it, and that's what we're trying to attain. And we attain that through different ways,
Yeah.
whether it's music, whether it's being a part of a church or religion, whether it's writing books to inspire. But when you pursue something and you're doing it, and we talked about it in the last podcast, the goals and I try to push goals and planning. But the biggest thing we talked about is that burden of responsibility. And that
Mhm.
burden of responsibility is what you were created to do in this world, right? JT, you were created in this world to inspire through music. That's
100%.
it. 100%.
100%. And it takes 100% commitment to dive in and
100%.
to understand just because you accept that is that it's gonna
Willing
also
to
gonna
die.
be willing to die.
Willing to die,
It's
willing
not
to be
gonna be
made fun
easy,
of,
bro.
willing to be
Yeah,
called a
dude.
fool.
Yep. Because like I got dreadlocks, tattoos, some weird stuff on the side of my head. Like I walk around in boots and chains, and
Bro,
I stand out, and like it's just something that
that's you, man. If
yeah,
that's you, that's you,
it's
bro.
me, man. It's me,
If you want to
100%.
be that way, I mean, you're living in a good time for it.
I am,
No
man.
better time for it when you talk about these platforms, man, and you're embracing it. I can tell. It
I'm
looks like
having a
you're out
good
on your
time.
porch. I see, are you
Yeah.
out on your porch right now?
No, I kinda like I got these little bugs flying in here because my door's open. So I have a
Okay.
really cool house, man. I live in a historic building out here in Miles City, and this place was built like over 140 years ago.
Fuck.
And yeah, man. So like the porch has a big porch, and then like a screened in living room, and then another living room, and then another
So the
living room.
screaming's not your kids. It's like
I
it's
don't know
old
what that could
old
be.
spirits and shit on
That could be, dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, bro. There's something going on in these old buildings, and I'm an artist, so I have kind of like a imagination sometimes,
hyper.
dude.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
seeing
man.
things. I know,
I do,
bro.
dude. Like the candle will change. I have like one of these candles that changes colors. It's like a
It's
rock,
rhythmic. Hmm.
and every once in a while, it'll, like glare off the TV, and I think it was like a little creepy girl. You know what I'm saying? Like I've watched way too many
You
of those
might be
scary
seeing.
movies, bro.
I don't want to say anything to you because I'm religious. I go to a Christian school. I'm a born again Christian. Um, and I've saged houses. I've seen paranormal things
I
where
believe it.
I had a lance corporal that lived on base in Pendleton, and his wife would not stay in the house in the house that they were assigned
God
because there was a
dang.
spirit. So I'm QA, and he's telling me about this. I'm a stats. I'm like, well, God told me like you need to go and handle this. So I'm
Yeah.
sitting there late at night, YouTubing how to sage a house, trying to pray. No bullshit, bro. I'm looking at this shit. I buy the sage. I get it. I'm like, we're going to your house, bro.
That's so funny,
Mind
bro.
you, I'm still feeling stupid about the whole situation, right? But I had to be authentic. So I sage him up. We go in there and we start saging and blessing this house, right? And you're supposed to sage from the farthest point to every crack all the way down to the exit,
Right.
and you push him out. And he had a big 10, he had like a 10 speed that was upside down. And when we left, the wheels started spinning. Like as we pushed the spirit out, the wheel just started going
Of the bicycle.
and, of the bicycle.
Oh
And
my
I'm
god.
like, holy shit. The
Right.
wife's like, holy shit. But we were able to sage his house, and she was able to she had no issues, gave him a Bible, did all
Crazy.
this stuff, prayed, never had an issue again. So I'm sitting here in the quality assurance QA, and my officer finds out what happened. He's like, "What'd you do?" And like the lance corporal's like telling him, I'm like, "Yeah, you know what I mean." It felt weird. It felt
Right.
weird for me to be like, "Why the hell are you,
Like you broke a law or something.
bro, like performing some pre shit?" But I
That was
think
against the UCMJ.
But I think just, I mean, we have it. I mean, we're spirits ourselves. So if,
Right.
for me, in a religious
I'm
sense,
all
I'm
about
not
it,
scared
dude.
of I'm not scared of any other spirit because I'm a spirit, and they don't know who they're fucking with. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
get it. I am
you,
not developed
yeah.
that way. This shit had me scared shitless last night. So I had my phone screen, it was just lighting my face up. Everything else, all lights are off. And I'm seeing shit. And all of a sudden behind me, I got this closet and the door is open. So I start thinking like something's behind me. I never looked. I finally said, stop being a bitch. And I still couldn't get over the sense of like something is present. I even told my wife about it. Like I just don't talk about stuff like that if I ain't really feeling it. Like last night
Yeah.
there was something going on.
You know what
So
it is?
fucking ghosts. My
You know what
daughter
it is?
has
Not.
been going
It's
big ghosts. My daughter's been saying that.
oh shit.
I'm telling you.
Well, I'll have to do a prayer blessing because maybe
Yeah, bring
it's
some of that sage over.
yeah, maybe it's over there. I'll blow that smoke. I can't do too much because I'm being in the Marine Corps. But my wife had the same, like, she never really believed in ghosts until she was working as a teacher and they were doing some stuff after hours. And she was like sorting all these files and papers with one of her coworkers. And they've talked about this ghost janitor or something that would come around the school. And she looked up and she seen the reflection and it walked into a wall.
Oh my
And
gosh.
both of them seen it, right? And the next day, the same girl that had that same situation had the whole stack of folders smacked and said, "Get out of here," like in her ear. And she fucking left. Like,
See, like
so
that's when you gotta like turn around and look at them and be like, no.
yeah, pick
You
that
know what
shit.
I'm saying?
Pick
I
that
ain't
shit up
leaving.
right now.
I ain't leaving.
Pick
Pick
that
that
shit up.
paper up.
Fuck this. I'm out.
Yeah,
Knock
it's
the
like
other one
last night
over.
I was
Oh, you
sitting there.
did?
That's what I told myself. I was like, if I gotta fight a ghost, I'm gonna fight a ghost.
Hell
If
yeah.
I gotta fight a ghost, I'm gonna fight a ghost right here in my house.
I'm gonna
But
light
that's
some
funny,
farts on
dude.
fire, bro. Fucking
Yeah,
I
man.
would love to yell at a ghost and tell them to pick that shit up.
Yeah, pick that shit up, ghost. Who do you think you are? You know, can't just come up in here.
bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Scary
that
scary
ghost is
movie
probably
5.
that ghost would probably laugh his ass off. He's probably like, this motherfucker. I guess I'm not gonna fuck with him anymore because this guy's kind of he don't give a
Yeah,
shit.
if you don't act scared, they don't want nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying?
He
Like
just
you
don't
just
like he don't like all the work and productivity that's going on in the fucking office. He's like,
bro, I leave all the lights on. That's what I do. I make sure if the lights go off, that's when it changes everything. The lights are on, I'm cool. I could be in a
you're
haunted house with the lights
you're
on.
out there in the middle of Montana and shit. Like fucking lights
Yeah,
better
man.
not
It's
go
when the
out.
lights are off in this historic house or like everything's squeaky. The basement is the scariest thing in the world. I can't even go down there. I got some storage down there. I went golfing the other day and I went down there to get my clubs. And I came running back up the stairs with my clubs. And my wife was in the kitchen. I was like, that's some bullshit. I ain't going back down there by myself, man. It's the
Have you seen those
scariest thing.
videos? Have you seen those videos on the internet? It's like this is what it's like when I'm taking the trash out by myself, and they're like,
High stepping and shit.
it's like there's like somebody dressed in black chasing them like up the
Yeah, dude,
stairs.
that's what it was like. I left all the lights on in the basement. There's no way I'm turning that hallway light off. Hell no. And I got to turn my back to the hallway. Ain't happening, dog.
I want to send an apology to my family real quick. To all my brothers and sisters that are watching, when me and Nick used to throw you downstairs in the basement and
I'll lock you down
shut the
there.
door and turn the lights off and force you
Oh,
to walk all the way down to the basement.
that's
And when we
miserable.
turned the lights off and said the leprechaun is coming,
Oh,
I
bro. Remember
apologize
Bloody
with that
Mary?
shit. Yeah, but the
Y-
leprechaun, remember the leprechaun movie? My brothers and sisters were scared shitless of that
Yeah,
motherfucker.
dude, Freddy Krueger had me, but I
It was
remember
it for
when,
me.
oh, it did it.
His
Pennywise.
exorcist.
It did it. Exorcist was a good one. But I remember
I
like
couldn't take a shower with the door closed.
my buddy's older sister brought us into the bathroom and had like a red light too. Like she made this dramatic, and we looked in the mirror and said Bloody Mary like 5 times or
That's
whatever.
probably why your shit's haunted.
Bro, I'm telling you, like I have never been so scared, dog.
It's
That's
funny
so
how
funny.
you can get your mind into those weird.
Well, and it's a proven fact that you can get your mind in any state. I mean, everything we've talked about over the past 2 hours here now, it's all about that
Emoji
mind
connection.
control and understanding exactly. Hold on, this thing's popping up. Not now. Yeah. Oops. All right, we're good. Well, I think that when you can like control your mind to think that there's ghosts and these weird things happening around, it's the same muscle that
Hmm.
like dictates your level of success and what you can accomplish. I go to sleep listening to vibrations and different frequencies because I
Alpha brain,
believe,
alpha. Yep,
yeah, man, I
in those alpha
believe,
states. Yeah.
yeah, dude, those frequencies are doing something to relax you, for you to have maybe a lucid dream,
Hmm.
maybe for you to experience something that's outside the dimensions of what we know. And that's what interests me so much when it comes to like our capabilities, man. So if
So,
I
have you
can,
been looking at the videos of the different levels of consciousness?
not too much,
You need to YouTube that because that's
yeah.
right into what you're talking about.
Well,
Because
look,
there's
if
different
we can
levels of
make believe
consciousness.
about ghosts, if I, because you could really psych me out, bro. Like you could tell me a story and I'm gonna like
No, no, no.
paint that picture.
I mean, actually, levels of
I,
consciousness
I
of
I
like.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, if we're that capable of believing a ghost story and being emotionally like
Mhm.
influenced by a ghost story,
But it's a good thing too
it is a
because
great thing. It's cool.
we have the ability to look at future things and forecast them
Yeah,
and put
dude.
on all these scenarios, and that's why you're not going to sleep is you're putting on all these, you're projecting all these future scenarios that could happen, and Jordan Peterson talks about a little bit,
So are
but
you talking about
that's a good
levels of
thing where you can.
consciousness or level or dimensions?
So it's a level of consciousness. There's certain people that can wake themselves up without an alarm
That's crazy.
because
I can do
there's a
that in the
level of
morning.
consciousness. Yep. You
Yeah.
can. You just got to tell yourself to do it.
Well, I think that
Your mind will do it. You just when you're talking about those alpha brain stuff, so look that stuff up on YouTube,
I will.
levels of consciousness, alpha stuff, and it'll explain, I don't know who exactly because it's been a long time, but it'll explain there's different levels of consciousness. I've had shit happen where my wife can tell you, I can tell the future in some sense and things that happen. When we were in Colorado, like I woke up in the middle of the night one night and screamed doorbell.
Hmm.
And one of the recruiters, Cruz, was there and was like, "What the fuck?" Like, no, there was no doorbell. And then all of a sudden, 3 minutes later, the doorbell rang. And what had happened was there was a homicide right across the street from my
Oh my
house.
gosh.
You know what I mean? Weird shit like
You're like
that.
a medium. You're like a white belt in medium.
Yeah, white belt, probably. Yeah, maybe I get tapped out all the time. But when you think about it in the wrong sense and you're trying to play it as like a talent and the confident of trying to do it, it won't
Right.
happen. Right? You're
Right.
not listening to those voices. So I think you're onto something there. But yeah, man, having the
Well,
alpha brain stuff
I
and just
believe that same philosophy towards being an artist. The more that I try to write something and
yep,
perform something, is the less performance.
muse
Yeah, yeah.
muse will come.
Bro, I'm like a
Yep.
square. I have no rhythm. I'm not vibing. But if I just show up, bro, and just let it roll,
Have you
um,
read any of Stephen Pressfield's books? The
mm-mm. The
Professional and the
last book
War
I
on Art?
read, the last book I read
Bro.
was a long time ago.
So Stephen Pressfield, he's the same one that wrote The Gates of Fire that is on the Commandant's reading list, but
Is it
he
on
has a book
Audible?
called,
Is it on Audible?
yes, it's called on the Art of War, the art
Oh
or the
yeah.
War on Art. But it talks about the professional that shows up every day and how all these things in life are trying to distract you. And when you sit down and you become a professional and you just show up every day, muse, that gift will come in and will land on your shoulder and will allow you to write the book, will allow you to make the music. But
100%.
it's you
I
need
don't
to
even know
listen
it's
to it.
called Muse, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Stephen
Like you get
Pressfield.
into a
It's
flow
called
state.
Muse. That's Muse.
Yeah.
That Stephen King, every author, person that's a creative knows about the Muse. But the problem is to sit the fuck down in the chair like you're talking about and show up every
Hmm.
day because it's not
Yeah.
going to happen. The Muse will flee away from you if you're not that person. It knows when you talk
Mhm.
about that universal law that allows you to be successful. That's the Muse.
That's
That's what
crazy.
comes in and causes you to be creative. So Stephen Pressfield, he was on
Man,
Joe Rogan.
I'm gonna
He's
check that
got a
out
couple of books, and you can audiobook it.
because
It's
that's some
awesome.
real shit. That's real right there to
Yep.
me. And I didn't know it was called the Muse, but when you
Hmm.
describe
That's
it,
why the band Muse is. That's
that's
they
coul.
probably ripped it from
Because like I
Muse,
have a complete studio
MUSE.
here and I have every capability to record every day. And when I come to the booth and I sit down and just start rolling, I start producing.
Just
But
because you
from
showed up, Same
dude.
thing,
But
rolling with
to get
jujitsu.
me to get here in the chair,
That's the
that's a
hardest part.
challenge,
Yeah.
bro. It's all because of Call of Duty Mobile. I blame Call of Duty Mobile.
For us, it's like we're sore. We don't want to go to jujitsu, all those things. But
Yeah.
yeah, you need to get in. I need to get back into jujitsu. It's been a while, but it doesn't even have to be jujitsu. It's just like when that calling happened, when you're like, hit me up when I was about to get some chow at the chow hall. I'm like, I'm fucking doing it.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's how I
what?
operate.
It's a choice, bro. Like you can choose this or that. You can
Yep.
make all the excuses in the world, but the constant professional shows up every day. Listen to
100%.
anything that Joe Rogan talks about, podcast stuff. Just show up every day. You feel like shit.
One of my favorite quotes, and I've constantly lived by this is hours and hours and hours of practice in private for one moment of perfection in public. And you're never going to be rewarded. You're never going to be the attention is never going to be there in the private. But for some reason we waste so much time in the private world not practicing because we think that the private world has some type of value towards that moment of in public, and it has no relations. And we get bogged down. And so we never even show up for that moment in public. So we never even know what perfection could have looked like. We never give ourselves a chance. You know, it's everything behind the scenes is what's really genuinely affecting the show. And
Yeah, when
it's
you
us.
worry about that,
Yeah,
everything in the public will be it'll take
and
care of itself.
it does
You'll
because
know, and
people
that's why I
people
love
don't
fighting.
give a fuck.
And your wife will say it too. You can't hide.
Nah.
You'll know right away if you prepared enough in that cage. You'll
Oh
know
yeah.
right away if you prepared enough when you go and perform. And
Yeah.
you can hide things, right? But you're going to critique it as well too. When you see that fight where you did something wrong, you didn't choke that person out in the guillotine. You know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
fuck, maybe my guillotine is not as strong as I thought it was. But and especially music, because I'm not a professional, but the other professionals know,
Mm-hmm.
right? They can see those things, those slip
Big time.
ups. So, and
Yep.
that but yeah, you have to make your reps. So I
Yep.
hope you look at Stephen Pressfield.
I
This
am.
is the whole thing that I'm trying to push on for the nerd out books that I'm looking at, and
What's his
now I
name?
just have to
I'm gonna
go
look
do
it up right now. Stephen what?
Stephen Pressfield,
Pressfield. I got it
the
right
art,
there.
the war on art, and then he has
Whoa.
another one. I think it's called the
Audio
Professional.
book right there.
Yep, boom.
I'm gonna download it.
There you
Well,
go.
this was fun, guys.
Hell yeah. Hey, so we'll wrap it up, and I'm happy to have you on. I'm truly blessed, man, and it's one of those probably one of the greatest moments of my life to see somebody in my history, Marine that served the country, that did great things, and now he's out there inspiring and crushing things. And not only that, but becoming so much of a better person and so much humble. Like he was the mirror image to me in a different sense, but it was the same type of motivated individual. And now we're both still trying to grow. And I know this is what the Righteous Dad podcast is all about, is we're trying to not only change each other, but be a beacon of light and inspiration to everybody around the world. So I hope you like what you listened to today. A little bit more different, and I'm liking this a lot more. Definitely a milestone for the podcast. Definitely inspired me to light the fire. I learned some things from him. Hopefully, he reads some books that I show for him. But if you don't know who this man is, look up Long Cut. I'm a true fan now. I'm going to be bumping this shit in my Tesla. And it's some good stuff. So I want to say thanks again, Andrew. If you have anything else you want to say too, I know you want to talk to this man a little bit.
Oh yeah, I just I wanted to give you an opportunity before we pull the plug to say a little bit about what you got going on, what you got coming up.
For sure.
I know you're going on tour,
Yep.
so
Yeah,
you
we
want
gotta
to talk about that a little bit?
absolutely, man. So we've been gearing up for this slowly but surely. We started getting back on the road probably about a year ago, kind of doing one-offs and really trying to find a good fit for us to be able to stay consistent on the road. And so we went out with Demon Jones and we played a couple shows with the Moonshine Bandits. And so, but what we got geared up for 2022 is something very unique and a little bit different. I'm not going to announce who I'm touring with yet because it is going to be a pretty cool announcement, but it is going to be kicking off here within about a month. And we plan on hitting every single city in the United States. So we're going to be starting off on the East Coast, coming over to the Southeast, Midwest, and then definitely playing California come the fall time. And I can tell you that come this fall, hopefully we can get those California shows knocked out with Demon Jones as well. So Long Cut has a brand new EP that we just released about 3 weeks ago. The EP is named Dusty Roads. We have 6 songs on there. 5 of those songs are featured songs, and about 4 of the songs have music videos. We have features with Colt Ford, Demon Jones, Dusty Lee, Carly Rogers, and it's a real cool blessing to be able to finally get a project out after the whole COVID thing. So this is our new push going into 2022 after the coronavirus and all the pandemic and the drawback and all that. So we're excited to get back on the road. We've had a great turnout over the past year with new projects coming for the summer, big things. And I really appreciate you guys giving me the moment to be able to sit here and talk about myself, my music, my life, and be able to, fill up the gap that we had with time between us and our friendship, man. And it's cool to be able to rekindle that fire and get it going, man. You said you're going down to Austin to hang out with some of your homeboys. I would love to be able to attend something like that coming in the future.
Hell yeah, for sure. I want to get you on that MVP. I think you would be an awesome addition too. You have so much to share, and for just what you shared with the podcast today, for me, you fucking lit a fire out under my ass. I'm gonna have to step my game up a little bit.
Let's
But
do it.
again, I want to thank
sure.
you for spending the time with the podcast. Love you, man, and I look forward to all the future success. And I'm definitely a fan now, man. So
Thanks,
thanks
brother.
again.
What,
Hey,
one last thing. I wanted to ask, where can people find you? Do you have social
Yeah.
medias?
Absolutely, man. And so
I love you, Andrew.
we've been growing quite a bit on our streaming platforms. And so I love to be able to push people towards the number one platform that really helps out us, and that's Spotify. And so if you have Spotify, please go check out Long Cut, give us a follow, turn your notifications on. And what that does is allow us to continue to get monetized and to provide the, every bit of the financial, to be able to continue what we're doing. So Spotify is definitely where I would love for you guys to go check us out at. If you don't have Spotify, if you're not a fan of that for some reason, we're on every other streaming platform. But absolutely, man, when it comes to like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, we're on there. Longcutofficial.com is our website. You can get our merchandise. We have really cool things, and we have some funny things. We got bumper stickers. We have some shirts that Brian made that say mandate this, with a guy holding a middle finger up. So we got some cool things when it comes to, the whole mandate deal. Those things sold like hotcakes, bro. To be honest with you, man. Like we brought those out of the show and they were gone.
I'm gonna be repping some new stuff in the new house. So I'm gonna
Hell
be
yeah,
in there
dog.
buying some
That's
shit,
awesome,
bro.
man.
So
Well, I just followed you on Spotify. You just got
Cool.
yourself a new follower.
Awesome.
And we really appreciate you coming on here, man. And you dropped some freaking nuggets tonight. This was
Cool.
so worth. For me, it's 1:00 in the morning here. I'm not sure what time it is there, man. It was worth every minute.
Cool, man.
And I'm
yeah,
gonna
close
say
us up, Andrew. Close us up.
for sure. But thank you very much for coming on our show, man. It was a pleasure. I'm looking forward to having you back on here in the future. You're always going to be a welcome guest on here for sure.
Thanks, man.
On the Righteous Dad
Appreciate
podcast. Brian, do you have anything you want to say?
Now close us up, man, with the
All
viewers.
right, man. Well, thank you everybody for listening to the Righteous Dad podcast. Again, this was Long Cut, episode 3, closing it out.
Thank you, guys.
Peace. Thank you.
That was fun.
Well, there you have it. Straight fire. Thank you for tuning in. JT Adams from Long Cut. Thank you so much for your support in the podcast, and thank you for being a special guest. I cannot wait to drink a beer with you in person, brother. And when you're in California, please hit me up. For all of you that are supporting the channel, I want to say special thanks. Continue to hit that like and share. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. That way you can get notifications for all the future episodes. And if you don't want to see my ugly face, go ahead and follow us on Spotify or leave some comments so that we can get better. Until next time, continue living righteous.